In a world full of noise, distractions, and endless comparisons, one of the most powerful things you can do is focus on yourself and stay silent. Not in weakness, not in fear, but in strength. There is immense power in silence and in inner focus. We often waste so much time trying to explain ourselves, seeking validation, and reacting to every opinion. But the truth is, the more energy you spend on others, the less you have left for your own growth. Silence is often misunderstood in our noisy and fast-paced world. Many people equate silence with weakness, submission, or lack of knowledge. However, silence can be a profound sign of strength. It is the ability to hold back when provoked, to listen when others are speaking, and to choose peace over conflict. Those who understand the value of silence are not silent because they are afraid to speak. They are silent because they have mastered the art of choosing when to speak and when to remain still. In a world that constantly demands reaction, silence becomes a form of control and discipline. When you remain silent, especially in the face of criticism or negativity, you take control of the situation. You no longer allow others to dictate your emotions or manipulate your responses. Your silence becomes a boundary, a shield that protects your energy and dignity. People who expect you to argue or defend yourself become unsettled when you choose silence instead. It confuses them, disarms them, and ultimately empowers you. It shows that your peace matters more than proving a point, and that your self-worth isn't defined by what others say or think. Furthermore, silence fosters deep thinking and emotional regulation. Furthermore, silence creates room for personal insight and meaningless conflict, feeling and enterprise. Furthermore, silence fosters deep thinking and emotional regulation. It builds a mental clarity that is difficult to achieve when you are constantly engaging with external chaos. Lastly, silence can be a strategic advantage in your personal and professional life. Not every battle needs to be fought with words. Sometimes your silence is what commands the most respect. In discussions, negotiations, or even disagreements, those who use silence strategically often gain the upper hand. They are seen as composed, thoughtful, and in control. Their words carry more weight because they are not spoken out of impulse, but from careful thought. Ultimately, silence is not the absence of strength. It is the refinement of it. It speaks louder than any outburst and carries the quiet power of self-mastery. Focusing on yourself is not selfish, it is essential. In a world filled with constant comparisons, social pressures, and distractions, turning your attention inward allows you to regain control over your own life. When you focus on yourself, you begin to recognize your strengths and weaknesses without judgment. You start identifying the areas of your life that need improvement and make conscious efforts to grow. This inward focus nurtures a strong sense of self-seriousness, which is the foundation of personal development. It enables you to understand who you truly are, beyond what others expect or demand of you. Self-recon also helps you set meaningful goals and stay aligned with your own values. When you stop chasing validation or approval from others, you begin to define success on your own terms. This clarity gives your journey purpose and direction. You no longer get easily distracted by what others are doing or achieving. Instead, you remain grounded in your own mission. Focusing on yourself means building habits, routines, and a mindset that supports your growth. You become intentional with your time, energy, and relationships, investing in what genuinely serves your development. Moreover, focusing on yourself creates emotional independence. You stop relying on others for happiness or identity. Instead, you find fulfillment in your own growth, achievements, and peace of mind. This kind of self-sufficiency is powerful. It shields you from emotional manipulation and the ups and downs of external circumstances. When you're rooted in self-circus, your confidence comes from within. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need to be better than is the person you were yesterday. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. In addition, self-circus encourages boundaries and balance. It teaches you to say no without guilt and to prioritize your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. When you put yourself first, you learn to filter out toxic influences, unnecessary drama, and things that drain your energy. You become selective with your environment, your circle, and your commitments. This doesn't mean you isolate yourself. It means you protect your peace and grow from a place of strength. True transformation begins when you stop looking outward and start building inward. Self-focus is the path to personal empowerment and lasting fulfillment. There is a timeless power in letting your actions speak louder than your words. In a world where people often talk more than they do, being someone whose actions align with their intentions is rare and admirable. Words can be persuasive, but they are only promises. Actions, on the other hand, are proof. When you stay focused on your goals and allow your results to represent your journey, you gain credibility and respect. People may doubt what you say, but they can't ignore what you have achieved. Real influence comes not from speaking about what you will do, but from doing it without making noise. Relying on action instead of explanation also saves energy and avoids unnecessary conflict. Many times, we feel pressured to explain our decisions, justify our lifestyle, or prove our worth to others. But constantly trying to convince people of your value can be exhausting and unproductive. When you commit to silently working on yourself and producing visible outcomes, you naturally silence the critics. Instead of arguing back, you rise above the noise. Instead of defending your path, you walk it boldly and let the results become undeniable evidence of your growth and purpose. Letting actions speak also creates a mindset of discipline. When you're not distracted by the need to announce every move, you become more intentional with your time and more focused on execution. This discipline breeds consistency, and consistency is what leads to long-term success. People may not notice you in the beginning, but as you stay committed and results begin to show, they'll start to pay attention. And by that time, you won't need to explain anything. Your journey will speak for itself. Every achievement becomes a silent message that you are working, improving, and becoming. Moreover, when you focus on action over words, you develop a quiet confidence that isn't dependent on validation. You no longer seek applause for your effort because you know the value of your work. This confidence becomes your armor. It allows you to move in silence, plan without pressure, and execute without distraction. People will always have opinions, but when your progress becomes evident, those opinions lose power. In the end, it's not about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right through relentless action and personal evolution. In today's hyper-consumed world, external noise is everywhere. It comes in the form of unsolicited opinions, social media comparisons, gossip, criticism, and the endless voices that try to shape our identity. If you're not careful, you can find yourself living a life that's designed to please others rather than fulfill yourself. Ignoring this noise is not about becoming indifferent. It's about developing the ability to filter what truly matters from what distracts you. It takes strength to resist the pressure to conform, especially when others are constantly projecting their beliefs onto you. But growth begins when you stop allowing those outside voices to define your worth. The opinions of others, whether positive or negative, should not become the compass for your life decisions. People will always have something to say, regardless of what you do. You could be doing the best you have ever done, and still someone will find a way to criticize. That's why it's crucial to become rooted in your own values and sense of standing. When your direction is determined by your own vision and not public opinion, you gain the freedom to live authentically. Ignoring external noise doesn't mean you're stubborn or arrogant. It means you trust yourself more than the world's fleeting judgments. Furthermore, tuning out the noise allows you to reclaim your mental peace and clarity. Every time you give too much attention to what others are saying about you or your choices, you surrender your focus. You begin to doubt yourself, second-guess your instincts, and lose momentum. But when you shift your attention inward and become centered in your own voice, the noise fades. You start recognizing the difference between constructive feedback and baseless criticism. And more importantly, you stop reacting emotionally to every opinion that's thrown your way. And more importantly, you stop reacting emotionally to every emotion that you understand. Reacquire. It's not you just act. Import land. Ignoring the noise also empowers you to create space for self-reflection and meaningful progress. You begin to measure success not by applause or approval, but by your personal standards and inner fulfillment. This shift is liberating. It allows you to rise above drama, avoid unnecessary conflict, and stay focused on what truly matters. Instead of constantly seeking acceptance, you begin to build a life that feels right to you, regardless of who notices or approves. The world will always be loud, but when you master the art of silence within yourself, no amount of external noise can disturb your inner peace. Your energy is one of the most valuable resources you have, and yet it is often the most carelessly spent. We wake up each day with a limited amount of mental, emotional, and physical energy, and how we choose to use it defines the quality of our lives. Far too often, people waste their energy on things that don't matter. Arguing with others, proving their point, obsessing over the opinions of strangers, or dwelling on past mistakes. Energy management isn't just about productivity, it's about survival in a chaotic world. When you start being selective about where your energy goes, you begin to live more purposefully and peacefully. Energy management isn't about arresting people searching for resources. Almost anything you do is about arresting people, arresting any things that. One of the key aspects of energy management is learning when to engage and when to walk away. Not every battle is worth fighting, and not every person deserves a reaction. When someone criticizes you, challenges you, or tries to pull you into drama, you have a choice. You can engage and drain yourself emotionally, or you can protect your energy and remain silent. This doesn't mean you allow people to walk over you. It means you prioritize your well-being over temporary satisfaction. By refusing to give your energy to meaningless conflicts, you retain your power and channel it toward your goals. Managing your energy also means setting clear boundaries and honoring them. You must learn to say no without guilt, to distance yourself from toxic environments, and to recognize when something is no longer serving your growth. People who constantly seek validation or approval from others often overextend themselves and end up exhausted. But when you focus on conserving your energy, you realize that not everyone and everything deserves access to you. Your time and presence are valuable, and it's perfectly acceptable to guard them. Allah forbid that we should be, no matter often or shining, or anyone, you over to yourselves are Vidyam, and me, this is to find you. Finally, effective energy management is directly tied to your personal growth and success. When you stop leaking energy on distractions and negativity, you can redirect it into things that truly matter: your goals, your health, your relationships, and your passions. You become more productive, more emotionally stable, and more in control of your life. It's not about being selfish, it's about being smart. You can't pour into your future if your energy is constantly being drained by the present. Learn to manage your energy like it's your currency, because it is. And how you spend it determines the return you get from life. Solitude is often mistaken for loneliness, but the two are very different. Loneliness is the absence of connection, while solitude is the presence of self. There is great strength in learning to be alone without feeling empty. In solitude, you are not avoiding people, you are reconnecting with yourself. It is in those quiet moments, away from the noise of the world, that you begin to understand your thoughts, your emotions, and your purpose on a deeper level. Many people fear solitude because they've never been taught how to enjoy their own company. But once you embrace it, you realize that being alone can be one of the most empowering experiences of your life. Solitude allows space for reflection, which is essential for personal growth. When you're constantly surrounded by others or influenced by outside opinions, it becomes difficult to hear your own inner voice. You begin to live based on what others think you should do instead of what feels right to you. In solitude, however, clarity emerges. You begin to identify what truly matters, and you gain insight into your goals and values without distortion. That stillness becomes a mirror, revealing your true self. And with that understanding, you become better equipped to make choices that align with your authentic path. The strength in solitude also lies in emotional independence. You no longer feel the need to seek validation or support from others to feel complete. This doesn't mean you reject relationships. It means your foundation is stable, with or without them. You learn how to comfort yourself, motivate yourself, and rebuild yourself. When life becomes overwhelming, when you depend solely on external sources for emotional stability, you become vulnerable to disappointment. Using Solitude as your captured, excited exposure, you evolve through them. You built science as your emotion. You do not expect it, any addition for the emotion you built through them. You play additionally. Solitude cultivates creativity and self-discipline. Many of the world's greatest thinkers, artists, and innovators have credited their breakthroughs to time spent alone. In the silence, distractions fade, and your mind is free to explore, imagine, and create. You begin to develop routines, habits, and a mental focus that is difficult to achieve in a crowded environment. Solitude trains you to rely on yourself, to build from within, and to become your own source of inspiration. It's not isolation, it's intentional separation for elevation. Embraced with purpose. Solitude is intentional. Settle head. Intentional. A clear, real growth doesn't need a stage or spotlight. It happens in silence, in the unseen moments where effort meets patience. Society often glamorizes instant success, loud achievements, and constant announcements. But true transformation is far more subtle. When you are genuinely working on yourself, mentally, emotionally, physically, you don't have time to broadcast every step. Growth is not performative, it's personal. The deep work, the internal shifts, the breaking of old habits and the building of new ones, all of this happens away from public view. You don't need the world to know you're growing. You need to feel it, live it, and let it shape you quietly from the inside out. Quiet growth is powerful because it is focused and intentional. When you are not distracted by the pressure to be seen or acknowledged, you can dedicate all your energy to actual improvement. There is a certain peace in not needing to prove your progress. It allows you to experiment, to fail privately, to learn without judgment. It's in this private space that the most significant changes occur. Your mindset shifts, your confidence grows, your discipline strengthens. These changes may not be visible at first, but they lay the foundation for everything else. Quiet growth doesn't demand attention. It earns respect in time. Moreover, quiet growth protects your energy and shields you from unnecessary influence. When you're constantly announcing your goals and plans, you open yourself to outside opinions, doubts, and distractions. Everyone has something to say, and not all of it is helpful. But when you move in silence, you preserve the purity of your intentions. You don't need validation to keep going. You become your own motivation, your own accountability. You learn to trust the process without rushing it. In this kind of growth, patience becomes your companion, and consistency becomes your power. Finally, growth that happens in silence leads to results that speak volumes. When you re-emerge from the quiet, people will notice a difference. Not because you told them, but because they see it in how you carry yourself. You become more grounded, more confident, and more capable, not by chance, but through the invisible work you put in when no one was watching. That's the beauty of quiet growth. It's not loud, but it's lasting. It's not fast, but it's deep. And in the end, the transformation that takes place silently is the one that defines who you truly become. So choose the path of silence and self-sacrifice not because the world demands it, but because your peace, growth, and strength deserve it. Let your accents whisper the chaos. Bestow your door. Surrender your thoughts to your side. You will feel fully served without ever having to rest. In intersection